It was supposed to be just another bachelor party weekend, 5 longtime friends, a couple of cheap flights to Vegas, and one simple goal: make this last night of freedom one for the books. They'd found a hotel online through some third-party site, the Crown Mirage. The name sounded fancy, almost like something off the strip, but when they tried looking it up on Google Maps, nothing. No photos. No reviews, not even a pin. Still, the price was dirt cheap, and they figured, what's the worst that could happen? They landed in Vegas after midnight, laughing, already a few drinks in. But when they arrived at the hotel, the laughter faded. The building was there, yes, but it was wrong, like it had been forgotten by time. Sandwiched between neon giants, the Crown Mirage looked like a haunted relic from the 60s. Its faded letters blinked unevenly, and the front doors creaked open like something had been waiting too long for visitors. Inside, the lobby was cold, unnaturally cold. Not the kind you get from air conditioning, but the kind that makes your skin crawl without explanation. The man behind the counter looked odd, too still. His skin was waxy, his eyes didn't blink, and when he handed them the key to room 741, his smile never reached his face. The elevator groaned all the way up, like it didn't want to rise. Every second inside it felt stretched, like time didn't work properly there. But they laughed it off. Vegas, right? The room looked surprisingly clean. Too clean. Not a speck of dust, no smell, no sound. And the windows? Sealed tight, not just locked, sealed like part of the wall. Weird, sure. But again, Vegas. They cracked open some beers, blasted music, and by 3:17 a.m. the world outside could have exploded and they wouldn't have noticed. Until the knock came. It wasn't loud, just deliberate. 3 slow knocks. They froze. One of them, Derek, opened the door, expecting maybe a prank or room service by mistake. But what they saw wasn't the hallway they came from. The lighting was dim, the walls a strange shade of burgundy, and the carpet thick, dark red, like something out of an old casino basement. At the end of the hall stood a child, facing away from them, motionless. She held a stuffed bunny by its ear, its head dragging against the carpet. Her dress was pale, torn at the bottom. They called out to her. No response. So Derek stepped into the hallway and walked toward her. When she turned, everything stopped. Where her eyes should have been, there were only dark hollows, not empty, alive. Thick, black liquid oozed from them like tar sliding down her cheeks. Derek didn't scream, he simply vanished. The hallway went dark for a second. When the lights flickered back on, she was gone, and so was he. The remaining 4 slammed the door and backed away. But when they turned around, the room had changed. The bed, gone. The furniture melted into the walls. The door behind them, no longer there. They were trapped. One of them started banging on where the door had been. Another just sat down and whispered, over and over, 741, 741. The next morning, hotel security found only 2 of them, naked, bruised, huddled in an alley several blocks away. No memory of how they got there. No sign of the others. The police searched for the Crown Mirage, but no such hotel existed. The lot where it supposedly stood was empty. Just a fenced-off patch of dirt and concrete, abandoned for decades. The 2 men never spoke publicly again. But sometimes, late at night, one of them still mutters that same phrase like a broken record. 741. In the late 1960s, Vegas was more smoke than sunshine, more secrets than sparkle, and the Lucky Flames was its most infamous ember. Hidden just off the strip, it wasn't the biggest or the brightest club, but it was legendary for one reason: Ruby Delilah. The name alone lit cigars, unzipped wallets, and filled booths with the country's most powerful men. Ruby didn't dance, she hypnotized. Wrapped in red feathers and bathed in soft waves of neon pink, she moved like smoke you couldn't breathe. They said her act could make time stop, hearts race, and if you watched too closely, something in you unravel. But one night, it wasn't her act that vanished, it was her. Right in the middle of her signature spin, the stage lights flickered, then blinked out. For exactly 11 seconds, there was darkness. When the spotlight returned, Ruby was gone. No exit, no trapdoor, no smoke. The music kept playing, like it was too afraid to stop. Security swept the club. The audience thought it was part of the show, but backstage panic took over. Ruby's dressing room was untouched, mirror lights still glowing, her shoes still resting neatly on the bench. They even searched the air vents and ripped open the floorboards. Nothing. It was as if the desert itself had swallowed her. The club struggled after that. Patrons whispered about the cursed act. Dancers quit mid-performance. Lights burned out at the exact same second every night. Within a month, the Lucky Flames shut down. Locked up, forgotten. Or so they thought. Decades later, a paranormal documentary crew gained access to the building. The place was a ruin. Broken chairs, graffiti-smeared walls, a collapsed ceiling that let moonlight spill in like spotlight. But the stage was still there, dust-covered, yet intact. One of the cameramen, Joel, focused on it through his lens as the crew set up. Then he paused. "Someone's moving out there," he whispered. No one else saw it. But through the lens, there she was, a woman, floating inches above the ground. Her dress glowed with that unmistakable neon pink, flowing like smoke underwater. Her arms moved gracefully, rhythmically in silence. She wasn't just a recording. She was there, and she was dancing again. The others told Joel to keep filming, and he did, until something changed. On screen, Ruby's figure stopped, mid-twirl, her head turned toward the lens. Slowly, she brought her finger to her lips and held it there. Shh! In the silence that followed, no one breathed. Then the camera audio picked up something chilling, a whisper. No mic was on, and yet, clear as a bell, it said, "You came to see me, so stay." The crew ran. Joel didn't. He just stood there, frozen. When they came back with security the next morning, he was gone. Only his camera remained, resting neatly on the dusty stage floor. The lens melted, warped, as if it had stared straight into something that didn't want to be remembered. Rumor has it that footage still exists somewhere, buried in a vault, never released. But if you ever sneak into the ruins of Lucky Flames, don't look too long at the stage. And if you see a flicker of pink, don't follow the dance. Because Ruby doesn't perform for crowds anymore. She performs for one, the one who stays. Back in the glitz and shadows of 1980s Las Vegas, there was one performer who didn't just chase fame, he hunted death. Frankie Valance. An illusionist with a flair for danger and a twisted obsession, conquering the line between life and the afterlife. His signature act, the Crystal Sleep, became a nightly ritual at the Golden Pharaoh Casino. Inside a coffin made of solid lucite, completely filled with water, Frankie would be submerged. No air, no escape for 72 hours straight. And every time, right on cue, he'd emerge smiling, gasping dramatically as the crowd erupted. People flew from all over the world just to witness a man defy death, over and over again. But on his final performance, the trick didn't end. The bubbles stopped. The timer kept ticking, and the crowd started to realize something was wrong. They waited. Lights dimmed. Nothing. Stagehands rushed in, pried open the glass lid, and there he was, Frankie Valance, motionless, eyes closed, hands folded over his chest, dead. The medics confirmed it, but something was off. The inside of the coffin was bone dry, not a single drop of water, no puddles, no condensation, as if whatever was inside had simply vanished. The Golden Pharaoh canceled all remaining shows, sealed the stage, black curtains pulled tight like a funeral shroud. That was supposed to be the end of it, but Vegas doesn't let go of its legends so easily, especially the ones who refuse to die. Every night since, at exactly 2:03 a.m., the ancient LED panel above the locked theater flickers to life on its own. Red letters blaze across the screen, glitching through static. Frankie is ready to return. Security has replaced the wiring, pulled the power. Nothing works. The message still comes. And worse, some nights, from behind the curtains of the locked stage, people hear it. Knocks. Always 3. Spaced out. Rhythmic. The kind that don't come from someone trying to get out, but from someone letting you know he's still there. Some employees quit. Others pretend not to hear. But the story spread, as all good Vegas stories do. Years later, a group of thrill-seeking teens decided to sneak in and test the legend. Cell phones, flashlights, giggles masked with nervousness. They climbed past the velvet ropes, ducked behind broken slot machines, and reached the edge of the sealed stage. The curtains were thick, untouched for years, dust hung in the air like fog. One of them raised his hand and knocked, once, twice, 3 times. Silence. Then tap, 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 the reply. Not echo, not coincidence. Answer. Answer. They froze. One girl whispered they should leave, but one of the boys turned toward the mirror bolted to the wall near the dressing rooms. He screamed. The footage from that night shows only a few seconds before the camera drops. But in the last clear frame, there's a reflection, faint but unmistakable. A man's face, half lit, eyes wide, and a grin so wide it seemed carved. The problem? All the teens were facing away from the mirror. The smiling face was the only one, looking directly at the glass. No one's seen them since. Just the dropped phone, blinking in a loop until the battery died. And the mirror, still mounted backstage, still reflecting what shouldn't be there. At the Golden Pharaoh, no one dares touch the coffin, or go near it after dark. But if you ever find yourself walking past that forgotten theater and you hear 3 soft knocks from behind the curtains, don't knock back. Frankie's been waiting too long, and this time, he's not asking for applause. He's asking for company.